Guys, so yesterday we started talking about biographies, and this whole week we are going to be reading biographies. And so let's kind of do a review over what biographies are. So a biography is the story of all or part of a real person's life written by someone else. So the main thing that we need to understand is that a biography is where someone else is talking or telling us about a real person's life. And it may be about all of their life or maybe about parts of their life. Okay, and so here are some of the books that we will be reading. So we've already read Nobody Owns the Sky and The Odd Boy Out. And so some of the other books that we will hear this week are Magic Trash, The Tree Lady, and Juan Brahma Matia. I don't really know how to say that one. And of course, there's several biographies out there, guys. These are just the ones that I have picked for us to read during our read aloud. We also talked about how we also talked about some of the things that all biographies have and some of the things that some biographies often have. So, a biography is always, the author will always tell the story of a person's life or part of it. The author includes facts about the person's life, so that's important. Biographies are informational, so there are facts. The author tells about the important things a person did, and then the author gives an important message. And then these are some of the things that we can find in biographies. The author talks about the person's life in the order that it happened. So they usually start, kind of like in the very beginning when they were born and kind of go on. The author includes made up dialogue based on facts. So remember, the stories that you're hearing in our read aloud are in a fiction type format, so like a story. So the dialogue is what the characters are saying to each other, and that's going to be made up, but it's going to be based off facts from that person's life. The author includes quotes by that person, so maybe that author may have said something very famous or just something that was in their own words, so they will include those quotes. There is additional information at the end of the book, so like a timeline. And then the author includes photographs or illustrations. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the book we read yesterday and the book we read today. So the first book we're going to take a look at is Nobody Owns the Sky. Okay, and the author to my story was Reeve Lindberger. I'm going to write that here where it says author. And guys, y'all are just watching. You don't need to be writing anything. And I'm going to actually read a page out of what we read yesterday. So y'all read this book, or y'all listened to me read this book yesterday, but I'm going to read a page. And as I'm reading, I want you to think about what the author is telling us. Betsy Coleman grew up a century ago in a cabin built near where the creek waters flow. She worked picking cotton as white as the snow and watched cottony clouds up above come and go. Betsy wished she could rise up and fly high and low over Texas a long time ago. So, what types of things does the author tell you about? So, she first starts off with Betsy Coleman grew up a century ago. So, she's telling us around what time she grew up. Long time ago. She grew up in the past, centuries ago. It's also telling us where she lived, in a cabin built near where the creek waters flow. And then she's also telling us what she did when she was growing up. She worked picking cotton as white as the snow. Okay, so she's telling us when her life took place, which was many centuries ago, where it took place, and what she did as a child. So, what do you think? So, first off, who are we talking about? So, who is the person that the author is talking about? Do you remember? So, we are talking about Betsy Coleman. Okay, so that is our who. Okay. And then what is she telling us about? What is she telling about? Well, she wrote this book to tell us about Betsy's life. So that's really what biographies do. They tell us about that person's life. Okay, so let's think about the book that you listened to today. And I'm going to go grab that book. And so the book that we read today was Odd Boy Out. So, or Odd Boy Out, Young Albert Einstein. So our author is Dawn Brown. So I'm going to write that down. And I'm going to read, or let's talk about where the first page where it says, on a sunny, cold Friday in the old city of Ulm, Germany, a baby named Albert Einstein is born. It is March 14th, 1879. So who are we talking about? Who is the person that we're talking about? Albert Einstein. Okay. And then we can also, the author is also telling us when he was born. So what time did, when his life took place, which was back in 1879 is when he was first born. So a long time ago. And then it tells us in an old city. So the story his life starts out as, because if you were listening to the book, he did move to a lot of different places. So his life begins in Germany, and then throughout the story, you hear how he has moved to another place. So, and our story was about Albert Einstein and his life. Okay. So guys, mainly what we need to think about is when we are reading a biography is the story of a person's life written by someone else. So if you notice that the author is not the same person that our story is over, because a biography is where someone else is writing about someone else's life. So I'm going to write that up here. So we need to remember that a biography is the story of a person's life written by someone else. Written by someone else. Okay, so what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to give you a paragraph to read, and I want you to tell me who is it over and what are they talking about. So who the biography is over and what is the biography telling us. All right, guys.